going on, everybody? Welcome back to our channel. It's your girl Bex.
And I'm Carly.
And we're here to deliver content to unlock your mindset and actions to be limitless. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And like we always say, ring the bell notification so you can be notified when we're dropping gems just like this.
All right. Okay, so welcome back. This week, we are going to be talking about the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, celebrated on the 11th of February. And of course, this is a super important topic to us. I think we've spoken in the past about STEM, and this is specifically on the field of science. And this was started in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly, and they declared that this day would be represented on the 11th of February.
So this is the 7th International Day of Women and Girls in Science, which aims to recognise the role of both, not just as beneficiaries, but as agents of change. And the theme this year is for 2022 is equity, diversity and inclusion. Water unites us. So the UN reports point out that billions of people around the world will be unable to access safely managed household drinking water, sanitation and hygiene services in 2030 unless access progress rates quadruple. By 2030. Wow. That's just 8 years away. Should you get what I'm saying? So rising demand, poor management and failure to conserve water resources compounded by climate change represent key challenges urgently requiring a new sustainable holistic approach to support aligning strategies on water. Very interesting, and I just think that when it comes to water, it's pretty crazy that still so many people don't have access to clean water. I know.
It's frustrating as well, isn't it? Because you see a lot, and I've been listening on LBC actually this week. They've been talking about giving money to charity, and because you know the Captain Tom Moore, his charity, they were saying they were doing like audits on the accounts and things like that, and it's not because of any criminality or anything, but obviously people are like, 160 grand on management fees, really? And then this is when they started to talk about, you know, some of the top people for charities are getting paid 750k a year, and it's like it just doesn't leave a good taste in people's mouth. And then you think, where is the money going? Like I don't really like the idea of giving money to a country. I feel like there to be an agreement that we are going to come in and do this, because otherwise, you know what happens? We do it. All countries do it. All countries do it. Even us, we say, oh, this pot of money is for the NHS. It gets pulled out, little bit gets done with whatever. So I'd rather you just go in and go, right, we're going to build this, give us permission. But it doesn't sit right with me that they are getting paid that, but they're saying they're justifying it because of who they are. They're bringing more money than they take out. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And like, even just with charities, I definitely try to support what seems to be more of a local charity where you can see the work that's happening within an area. That's just my own personal, rather than a big charity, like you say, that is being taxed, God knows what, or the money is just not like, I don't even know if 50% of the money goes. Like, isn't it something like 10% of charity money has to go towards the charity? I think it's something stupid.
What? Is that it?
Oh. I think, you know, let's not quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I read before that it's a really low percent that has to actually go. Maybe not 10%, don't quote me.
Yeah. I mean, I hope it's not that, but if it is, this says it all, really, doesn't it?
So going back to the women within science, so women only make up 33% of researchers, and they receive less funding when compared to their counterparts. In AI, artificial intelligence, only 1 in 5 are women, and only 12% of members of national science academies are women. 28% of engineering graduates, and 40% of graduates in computer science and informatics as well. And I was reading as well that some parents, so in regards to like kids and that, a lot of parents think that engineering should exclusively be for boys and that it does not appeal to their girly daughters. So yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I know what I was about to say, but I mean, that in itself just shows you I mean, I don't know how big of a percentage that in itself hopefully sounds like is a small amount of people that would be coming out and saying things like that. but that's half the problem, is what are we exposing children to at a young age? Let them make the decision if they want to pick up a doll or pick up a hammer. Like, give them the option. There's the toys, you decide. Stop marketing it with a little girl standing at a kitchen sink. And because it's just not reality anymore. You know, it's not just single mums, there's single dads and whatever, like both parents are working. That age is gone, because you cannot afford to live these days with one parent working. So you just stop especially now, stop with all this, the women do this and the men do that. Like, it's ridiculous. And wonder why so many boys as well, when they end up living on their own before they have found a wife or whatever else, don't know how to do anything.
Burning bees, like,
yeah, come on. It's just so archaic, isn't it? And it is a shame. It really is a shame. But hopefully we're going to try, and we're definitely moving more towards it. And I like the fact that a lot more companies get called out for bad things. Like Primark recently just got called out again for sexist tops. They had like boy jumpers that were saying fearless and girls ones that were like happy, happy, happy. Why can't a girl be fearless as well? Like, yeah. And
it's little things like this that as a kid will sway your mind. 100%. Like you'll get swayed by these type of things. And it's like, even if you think that engineering is like a bit of a dirty, muddy type thing, right? Just because your girl's a girly girl doesn't mean that she wouldn't enjoy going and getting a little bit muddy and grimy. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, but if you're now saying, depends how you're marketing that to your kid as well. Like, oh no, you're wearing a dress, don't get your dress dirty. Like, oh no, you can't touch that, don't get your hands dirty. And that's what, think about it, that's a lot what our parents used to say to us. Don't go over there into that mud, you're going to get filthy dirty. Do you get what I'm saying? Don't go and touch that car engine, you're going to bring oil into the house. So how are you speaking to your kids as well is very key, because don't touch that, that's for strong boys, like that's for strong men. Like, what are you saying to your kids that is going to swerve them to whether they should go towards it or not? And I think a lot of companies need to be very clever in their marketing strategies as well when it comes to STEM industry as well.
Absolutely agree. So on the UN site, they were sharing some role models as well in science, and one of them was Dr. Emmanuelle Charpentier. I hope I've pronounced that right. And she won a Nobel Prize in chemistry with another scientist for the development of a method of genome editing, which allows scientists to edit genome or DNA of living beings with high precision. So initially I thought, what? You know, what could be? It doesn't sound, you know, like playing God situation. I was like, what's this about? But what they're saying is like it's groundbreaking for medical procedures, including understanding like inherited diseases, so they can figure these things out better. And I know there's a lot of that is a big area of trying to understand, you know, some people do inherit, some don't, some just carriers and things like that. So it's incredible. She grew up in France. She also has a degree in biochemistry. She's got a doctorate in microbiology. And in 2013, she co-founded CRISPR Therapeutics. And they've got operations in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and their HQ is in Switzerland.
Sick.
So that was pretty cool. And then the second one, I thought that this was really interesting story. Priya Pollard. So she's originally from Trinidad and Tobago, and she was a professional ballet teacher and competitive ballroom and Latin dancer. But she's always been into like learning things from a kid. And
girls.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there you go. But now she researches seaweed in Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, what? And she's an early stage researcher and MSCA fellow as a PhD student at the University College in Dublin. And they did ask her, they did a bit of an interview and asked her about some of the challenges being a scientist. And she said, you often feel ignored or not taken seriously in meetings and other work interactions. And obviously women are very underrepresented. And she said for herself, she's a petite woman of color. And that she said that does me no favors. But she thought coming to Europe that it would be less stigma. But she's like, but I was wrong. And it's just worldwide, isn't it? The same thing people are saying. And she's saying, obviously, there's a lack of female researchers. And and it's a lot of a choice of women deciding between family or career, and that pressure comes from home, work, and society. So that causes a lot of the issues. But they asked her a question I thought I'd share here. So they said to her, if you met yourself as a youth, what would you say to encourage your younger self to become a researcher? And she said, I would tell younger Priya to stay true to herself and her personality, to stay curious, keep thinking outside the box, and that it is okay if people laugh. Keep making mistakes and keep learning from them. You are not defined by your skin color. Be proud of who you are and where you come from, and that it is okay to be different. Do not worry about not fitting in with the crowd. There we go. I thought that was
that's
perfect.
Deep. That's deep. It's so true, man. Like, honestly, you got to believe in yourself, man. I need to stop saying man, but you need to absolutely just believe in yourself, because I think that's what separates a lot of people.
Yeah, and this is like, I was watching a little clip of Kanye West this morning I added you into, and he was saying that, like, I don't care if I fail. Like, at least I've gone out and given something a try. You not laughing or taking the bit, mate, you've got too much time on your hands. But at least you've made the effort to go and try something new, go and try break boundaries and whatever else. There's more than other people are, nah, I'm not going to do that because I'll never do it. How do you know that?
Yeah.
People looking at you, hoping you fail because of jealousy. They never did it.
I was listening to so obviously I think we spoke about Stephen Bartlett. Yeah, we did speak about him. So he had a live with Peter Jones from Dragon's Den, and Peter Jones was just saying there is no such thing as failure, it's just feedback. And when you can adopt that mindset, everything that you do is just feedback as to, okay, well, that didn't work, so let's try something else. And you will just continue, like, nothing's going to stop you. Like, do you get what I'm saying? And I just think that one thing I want to point out is that everything we've just quoted has come from men. And this is where our problem is, right? Everything that we've just quoted about failure and feedback and all these type of things, all the quotes are from men. And we need to find so many more. There's so many women out there, they just don't get spoken about.
Yeah, they're just not getting exposure.
And I'm part of Stephen Bartlett's, he's got a Telegram group, right?
Yeah, I'm in that as well.
You're in that as well, yeah? So I'm not sure if you saw in one of the last things, he asked about who do you want to see on the next podcast, yeah? And people are saying all these famous people, like just really big celebrities, etc. I commented back in there saying, I want to see somebody that represents me. I said and there's nothing wrong with this, all of the most successful women are feminine still women. There's nobody that looks like you, like me and you, or, you know, women like myself. One day I'll be on your podcast. Like, so
did you say that?
Yeah. One day I'll be on your podcast and there'll be a role model for people that look like me. And then there was a couple of other comments in there which I really loved. And they said, how about up and coming people, like not these big celebrities that have already got all of the exposure? What about somebody that is just starting? What about the underrepresented minority group? And I was just like, and they're saying, what about that gap between where a normal average person is today and normal average, what people may think is normal and average jobs? What about someone that's leading the way in those type of industries?
Stop telling him this, because he's taking what we're doing.
But yeah, I know, but this is the point. It's a gap, and this is what we're trying to. We as Be Limitless are trying to bridge that gap. And so, you know what, it gave me a lot of like encouragement that I already know that we're doing a good thing.
And people want to see it.
People want to see it.
Validation, 100%.
But that was still a minority of people that have mentioned that. So do you get what I'm saying? It's like,
it's just shifting the mindset.
Right now, we're probably very early right now, but we can't stop, because there will come a time when more and more people are doing things like this. Do you get what I'm saying? So we are very early. We know what we want to do, and we're just going to keep doing it because we want to bring more women to the forefront.
100%.
Celebrities, like, we love Karen Brady. We think she's doing amazing. We love Oprah Winfrey. We think that she's doing amazing. But these women are already out there and just gone.
Yeah.
How close is that to your reality?
Exactly. Exactly. It's understanding how did they do it? Like you say, it's that transition piece. The people who are juggling two things, trying to build a business while they're still working, and hey, I've just started. I've just managed to leave my job. Right? How did you know it was right? Like it's those people that we want to capture, or they are. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I'm a head teacher. It's my passion. I've just become the youngest head teacher to do this, or I've always wanted to, like, let's talk to them. How did you know and see and find that path to become a head teacher? Like, they're the people.
The first female scientist to go and do X, Y, Z, or the first female scientist to get this grant that actually matches the grant of a man. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, and mate.
There's so many, but people aren't looking like, but I think when they do, people are going to be like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Really good point, because there's loads, and you can probably learn more from them because, like you say, they've recently gone through that and they're more relatable. Whereas a lot of the advice now as well that these top celebrities are doing, it's because of all the things that they've learned. And of course it's amazing, but some of those things you're not going to get there yet because you've not scaled to that level yet or whatever else. So I think it's a lot more relatable, and it's given that transition point. And then from there, right, now your next step is the big famous person. How do you now diversify and whatever else?
It's just that bridging that gap in it, and that's what we're trying to do. One of the other things that I saw as well is that there was analysis of nature's stories in Canada was completed over a 15-year period, and it found that men are quoted twice more often than women. And this is what we just said. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it's crazy though. Sorry.
The missing part. No, it's all right. The missing part is mentoring women, hiring women, and also nominating women for awards as well. So we're not even being nominated for awards, like being bold enough. And I know we've got like men allies for women and all the rest of it, like coming like more and more. And we need that voice. We need that person to say, do you know what, in a meeting, do you know what you just said is amazing. Actually, Lillian actually mentioned that to me, or she mentioned
I do that all the time, but like our director, I don't know why people feel like, for me, I think that makes you look better by calling it out. Like, because don't get me wrong, it was still my boss had said it, and she is a senior, but it still came from her, and I wanted everyone to know that, because my boss said something, oh, hey, why don't you put this at the end of the doc? And I was like, oh, actually, yeah, Paulina suggested that as well. So yeah, we're definitely going to add it. It was a great suggestion. Like, I think it's important to do that across the board. And one of the things I do like that we do in our org is whenever there's like a paper review, they always get, I hate saying junior, but not as senior levels to speak first to, some people say, oh, I'm senior, but you know what I mean? But they try and get people to let like the directors and the senior managers speak at the end. So one, you don't influence people's thinking, allow everyone else to have the opportunity to give their thoughts, and then go on from, and then you can obviously build it up or whatever else. But that they like that. So the directors have to wait till the end and let everyone else have to have their say first.
Yeah, that's sick. It's just about being conscious, isn't it?
It is. Really just make a conscious effort of it. Yeah. 100%. So just lastly for me then, I was just looking at, how to become a scientist. And it's difficult to kind of say this is how you do it, because there's lots of different strands, same as engineering, there's chemical, electrical, industrial, there's so many different strands to it. But in general, it is one of those things where you do have to have a good education. So, GCSEs, A stars to C grades, and obviously things in like science and stuff like that really helps. A levels as well, 2 to 3 A levels or equivalent, and degree. And then a lot of scientists, especially top ones, work then towards a PhD as well. And again, you'll be looking for a first class or upper second in that. You can also do apprenticeships. Some of them last like 30 months or so. And then, you can work as like a research scientist and study part-time as well, and look at doing placements. So yes, it is just like a lawyer as well. It's one of the things, you have to have the education behind it. So knuckle down at school, get it done. But yeah, there's loads of cool opportunities. And I think, for example, this week, it was the British-based science group who discovered fusion. Incredible. This is a game changer. They've literally created like how the sun works on Earth. And they've only done it to a small scale. So it's like, it was enough to like boil 12 kettles or something like that, but they said the amount of fuel is like a drop in order to create it. So now what they want to do is, how do we make this bigger and create energy through fusion? It's like groundbreaking. And I think the EU have a goal of 2050 to have the first, I don't know if it's a plant or a reactor, I'm not sure what it is, but then the UK has got an even more aggressive one. I think they want to do it by 2040 or something like that. So that's another area, especially given energy, what's going on now, prices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We need science. And they said this is a perfect example where they said where science and engineering work together. So
that's sick.
Honestly, it's incredible.
And I just have to say, like, I'll say about science, at school, I wasn't interested at all. I can't lie. I just was not interested in science. But when I went to university, it was in my third year, when I was doing my dissertation, and I was doing molecular and cellular physiology. And the reason I chose it is because I didn't have to use people as like my subjects, right? I could get to grow stuff like using test tubes and all this stuff. So it was super cool. And from there, I went on to do a master's, and I actually wanted to do a master's by research. I was just so in love with doing the research and finding out all these things. And then I was going to go on to do a PhD, but it just fell through. But yeah, like definitely, I think that, again, I never knew about this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like at school, nothing seemed to interest me. But when I got to university, then I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to do research for the rest of my life. This is so, so cool. So it is super interesting. It is super cool. But like you said, the education piece is definitely key. So that's the end of this week's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been your girl, Vex.
And I've been Carly. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. Happy International Women and Girls Day in Science. And we will see you next week.
Peace.